And joining us now, the Saudi ambassador to the UN, Abdullah al-Mualimi from New York. Ambassador, thank you very much indeed for your time. There's a lot to ask you about, and I want to start, if I can, with Syria. How do you believe Russia has changed the picture as to what Saudi Arabia does now in Syria?
Thank you very much. I have to set the record straight on a couple of points first, if I may. You said in the introduction that the British government gives Saudi Arabia $4 billion worth of weapons. Nobody gives us any weapons. We pay for our weapons with our own money, and this money goes into the British economy and other economies, and they create jobs and they benefit the countries that sell us those weapons.
Understood.
And
so I think we said sense,
secondly, you said that we have one of the worst human rights record in the world. And I say, says who? Who is the arbitrator? Who is the judge who issues such verdicts? They are unknown organizations or unknown individuals. So that is also a blatant or a flagrant assertion. Now, back to your question about the situation in Syria, we think that the Russians are committing a grave mistake, that they are taking sides with Hezbollah and Iran and President Assad against the people of Syria, and what is going to be perceived against all Sunnis. And if the Russians have had problems before, these problems are going to be overshadowed by what is going to happen to them, because this is not Afghanistan. Syria is right in the heart of the Arab and Islamic world.
So just to clarify, what will you be doing? Will you send, for example, anti-aircraft missiles now to arm the opposition groups, or can you confirm that you're sending more arms there to help Syrian rebels?
It's not a question of what we're going to do. It's a question of what the Syrian people are going to do. And it's a question about what Muslims are going to do throughout the world regarding Russian interests. As far as support to the Syrian opposition, we have always declared our full support to the Syrian people.
And what is that full support? Is that more weaponry now for the rebels in Syria, or is it more arms?
I'm not in a position to discuss any specific military options with regard to assistance. Suffice it to say that we support the struggle of the Syrian people, and we support the Syrian coalition and the Syrian Free Army.
Okay.
And we help them defend themselves. That's all what they are doing at the moment.
Okay, let's go on to what you called the blatant assertion. I want to look at Saudi actions in Yemen. You stand accused of war crimes there by Oxfam Amnesty, many of the human rights organisations. Presumably, you would like to clear your country's name of those accusations.
That's another flagrant accusation. The gentleman who said that most of the civilian casualties have been caused by the bombing is absolutely wrong. Most of the civilian casualties in Yemen have been caused by the arbitrary artillery fire that has been launched by the Houthis against civilian quarters.
So the best way, of course,
bombardment.
The best way then to clear your name of what you're calling a flagrant accusation would be to allow an investigation by the UN Council of Human Rights, which your country has now blocked.
Well, we haven't blocked. We presented an alternative that the Yemeni government has presented, which is that the Yemeni government is going to conduct an investigation.
The Yemeni government that you have been helping by the bombing of Yemen?
That we have been helping for a long time to restore its legitimacy, yes. But the government of Yemen is the national authority of that Yemen, as recognized by the Security Council, as recognized by the United Kingdom, as recognized by the Human Rights Council. So the natural thing to do is to have the national authority conduct its own investigation. If as a result of that there is still reason to do anything else, then we can consider that.
You sit on the Human Rights Council. You yourself have that role.
Elected, by the way, elected.
So just explain, when you say elected, did the British government support you to get that seat? Were you elected by votes from the British government?
I don't know the answer to that question, but reciprocal agreements of support are very, very common in the United Nations. Not a single election goes by without having tens of countries signing reciprocal agreements of support.
So it's likely there was a vote trading deal with Britain there, was there?
If we call it a reciprocal support agreement, and if that was the case, then there is absolutely nothing unusual about that in the United Nations.
that happened then, as far as you understand, Britain supported you to get the seat.
I do not know if that the balloting is secret. We don't know who voted for us and who didn't. But we received an overwhelming number of votes in that particular election. More than 150 countries, if I remember correctly, voted in favor of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So it would not be a surprise if our friends in the United Kingdom or other countries in the West would have voted for us.
And just to remind our viewers of the resolution that establishes this council, it states that members elected to the council shall uphold the highest standards in the promotion and protection of human rights.
And we uphold that charter and we uphold that statement, of course.
The world is looking at you with outrage right now. You are about to behead, then crucify a protester who was a child at the time his alleged crimes were committed.
Well, I'm not going to get into the discussion of a legal case that is within the jurisdiction of the legal authorities and where the legal process has not yet been exhausted.
The world is looking at you and this case with outrage, and you sit on the UN Council for Human Rights.
Again,
you are the head of a panel of human rights at the UN.
Would you like to hear my response?
Please.
Yes, I'm saying that it would be unwise for me or anybody else for that matter to discuss a case that is pending within the legal process. That's point number one. Point number two, we respectfully request the world to respect our systems and our judicial processes and our laws and regulations, and not to interfere in the internal affairs of a sovereign state.
The highest standards in the promotion and protection of human rights.
We stand ready.
The promotion
to be subject to the highest standards.
Rights. Okay. So when the world looks, for example,
the application of Sharia law as far as human rights is concerned is the highest standard of
Raif
human rights.
al-Badawi, you'll know well the case of a blogger sentenced to 1,000 lashes, or perhaps Walid al-Kahir, a human rights lawyer, detained for 15 years. You have sworn to uphold the highest standards in the promotion and protection of human rights. You see no contradiction with the way your country operates and the fact that you head up a UN panel on human rights.
Again, you're drawing me into the discussion of individual cases and individual verdicts. I do not intend to do so. But I can tell you that we have a judicial system that is comprehensive, that is fair, that is transparent, and that we are prepared to have subjected to scrutiny and review. And we do share our experiences in the legal system with other countries.
What do you think should happen?
We believe that
your judicial system,
that we are holding ourselves to the highest standards. If that doesn't please someone here or there, that's their problem, not ours.
You heard of the employee who chopped off his Indian maid's arm after she tried to report him for abuse. You talk about your judicial system. Would you condemn the actions of that Saudi man?
If that is what happened, then of course we condemn it, and that person is going to be subjected to the full force of the law. I have read about the story in the newspapers. I do not have any additional information as to the accuracy of it or lack thereof. But if that is what has happened, then the person accused is going to be prosecuted and the full force of the law will be applied to him.
Ambassador, thank you very much indeed. Thanks for your time on Newsnight.
Thank you.